The autumn equinox and the harvest festival of Mabon are times to celebrate your blessings, to have gratitude, to recognize what you've harvested, what your bounty is around you. This can do with the local foods that have been harvested, but it also is time to stop and look at what you've harvested in yourself from the summer season that's now over. While the autumn equinox itself does mark that time when day and night are becoming equal, and then there's the transition to night growing longer and the sun's power waning, the Harvest Festival of Mabon and just the harvest season in general doesn't have to be relegated to just one day or one evening. Harvesting takes a lot of time, so feel free to adapt any ideas or any rituals to last over just the season of Mabon. But again, this is just a season of harvest, a season of noticing the transitions that are happening. So while this is a time for focusing in on the harvest and blessings and gratitude, there is also with it sometimes a sense of melancholy that can come with the autumn equinox, that switching of the seasons. And by giving yourself space to recognize if you're feeling a little sad or just your mood is changing as the winds grow stronger and you sense those breezes coming in through your window, it's good to take some time to honor what you're feeling and to bid adieu to that summer season that's now over. So now on to some colors that are associated with the Mabon festival. First, there's brown, which is very much connected to that sense of being grounded and to family. Green for fertility. There's of course orange and red and yellow. You really see them in abundance in the flowers that are around at that time still, and in the beautiful leaves that change on the trees. These colors are really symbolizing warmth, celebration. Orange can be for balance and kindness. Red for creativity and for action. Yellow very much for optimism and for creativity. So you may want to include these colors in the way that you decorate your space or if you create an altar. The animals that are associated with this time are the blackbird, the eagle, the goose, horses, the stag, owls, and squirrels. An overall theme for the autumn season is one of adaptability. So you may want to also meditate on adaptability as we enter into this autumn season. The first idea for how to honor the autumn equinox and Mabon is to create an altar for this season. And again, you can incorporate those colors that I mentioned. You can just gather some leaves, perhaps some acorns. Look at what's fallen on the ground around you, and you may want to use that in your altar space. You can make it as elaborate or as simple as you like. It can even just be what you put in the middle of your table if you are planning to have a harvest feast. That brings us to idea number 2, which is to have a harvest feast. Make a dinner or lunch, any meal that really celebrates and honors the local foods that have come into harvest where you live. You may want to visit a local farmer's market to gather up some of the lovely food and create a feast that you celebrate with those who are in your household, or it can just be a lovely harvest dinner that's for yourself. Brew a harvest blend tea. Think of the flavors that really make you feel autumn and see if you can find a tea that has those flavors, or maybe you already have one in your cabinet. Then make sure that you really just let your attention rest on the tea as you make it and you drink it to honor the season. Have a bonfire. If you're lucky to live somewhere where you have a yard or access to any sort of outdoor space that has a safe fire pit, you may want to have a little bonfire and celebrate the season with that fire and that autumn night. But if you live in an apartment like I do, no need to fret. You can simply light a candle or a couple candles to represent that flame. Just remember to always practice fire safety if you have a flame inside or outside. Gratitude. Say a prayer of gratitude for the harvest, for all that's in your life. Or perhaps you want to do a gratitude meditation. But it's really wonderful if you take a pause and really set your intention and your attention onto gratitude at some point during this autumn equinox and Mabon festival. Go outside and hunt for any magical nature that may be around you. Look at what's fallen on the ground. Perhaps there's some sticks that you'd like to gather. You can put them on your altar space. Perhaps there is a stick that's fallen on the ground that you'd like to turn into a wand. Or perhaps there's a larger stick you'd like to turn into a walking stick. This is a really wonderful time to see what's on the ground and see if it speaks to you and is something that you'd like to keep in your home or on your altar space or to use in your life. Make fire cider. This can be a really great time for making your batch of fire cider that will last you the winter season. For those who don't know, fire cider is a bit of a herbal tonic that you keep, that anytime you start to feel a tickle in your throat or a little congested, you might want to take a little bit just to help cleanse your sinuses or your respiratory system a bit. Its main foundation is apple cider vinegar. You can find a lot of recipes for fire cider online from various herbalists. I know that this autumn equinox I plan to make a batch, to start my batch of fire cider. Do a tarot spread for the autumn equinox that really looks at what you've harvested in your life, what you should bring in, maybe what you should let go of. It can be as simple as a 3-card spread. I'll be sharing one in a day or two that you may want to try, or come up with your own autumn equinox tarot spread to tune into what's being harvested in your life. And there's also many that you can find just by Googling it as well. Listen or sing the song John Barleycorn, which is a traditional folk song that looks at the harvesting of barley, but it's all sung through this character of John Barleycorn. The song itself can seem rather dark when you think of this figure being murdered, but it's to represent that changing of the seasons, the growing of a harvest, and then the harvesting. And it can be a really fun way to celebrate the season.
There were 3 men come out of the west, their fortunes for to try. And these 3 men made a solemn vow, John Barleycorn must die.
Traditionally, the autumn equinox time was a time for negotiation. And I think this is something that we can keep now. So you may want to think about, is there anything in your life you may want to negotiate at this time? It can be perhaps calling up your internet or cell phone providers and seeing if you can negotiate a better plan for yourself. Or definitely it can be really fruitful sometimes if you call up your credit card company and try to negotiate a better interest rate or plan. So you may just want to think about, hey, are there some places that I may be able to negotiate during this time of the autumn equinox? I hope this video inspired you to take some time to honor the autumn equinox / Mabon in a way that works best for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below for more videos for spiritful living, and hit the bell so you always know when there's a new video. Thanks so much for spending time with Gently Being.